Welcome back into the JMU Sports News Network. I'm Jack Fitzpatrick, joined now by Ben DiNucci, former JMU quarterback, starting quarterback in 2018 under Mike Houston in his last year, and helped usher in the Kurt Cignetti era in 2019. Ben, how are you doing?
Good, dude. How you doing? Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk with us. I know you between hats and jumping around NFL teams right now, you live a pretty busy life.
Yeah. Luckily, the last week or two has been back to somewhat normal. I was in Denver, or sorry, not Denver, Buffalo for the last 2 weeks of the preseason. Got to play a few preseason games, and then didn't work out. Such is life, such is the NFL, and got to come back to Denver, playing some golf, selling some hats, and still working out, staying in shape. So it is what it is.
Love it. Is Denver home base for you now?
It's home base for the time being. Yep.
Okay, so when you went with the Broncos, is that was that your because you played in Seattle with the SeaDragons in the XFL, some time in Dallas, Denver as well with the Broncos. Is Denver the homiest of the cities you've played in so far?
Yeah, I would say that. The thing that was nice about Dallas was I was there for the Cowboys, and then even though the XFL, I was on the Seattle team. It was all stationed in Dallas, so didn't have to move, didn't have to do anything. Seattle was my home team, and we just kind of took a plane to Seattle for home games. It kind of sucked, a 4 hour flight for a home game, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean Denver's we like it. You get all four seasons. I'm about an hour from the mountains, hour and a half from the closest, ski resort. So it's been a cool place to call home for the last year.
That sounds awesome. Well, rewinding back 2018, we'll talk some JMU, kind of bounce around everything around JMU football. I just kind of want to go through that first season with you. 2018, you're there with Mike Houston transferring from Pitt. Can you kind of walk us through your decision to transfer to JMU in the first place all those years ago?
Yeah. So after my redshirt sophomore year at Pitt, one thing just kind of led to another. Wasn't having fun on the football field anymore. Didn't necessarily love the offense that I was playing in. And then Kenny Pickett at the time was a true freshman. Had come in and we'd beat number 2 Miami the last game of the year. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall. I knew kind of how that worked when coaches bring their guys in and they play well. So figured a change of scenery might be the best thing for me in my career. At the time, wasn't necessarily thinking anything past the fact of, hey, I just want to go play football and have fun for my last 2 years of college. My thought process in going down was I hadn't graduated from Pitt yet, so I couldn't grad transfer and stay at the same level. And it was the year right before the portal, so I kind of got unlucky in 2 ways, but at the same way, kind of lucky. I visited JMU a few times in high school. They were my second offer, so I was very familiar with campus. I'd known a few guys on the team, the Stapletons, Jordan Brown. So the move was very easy for me. I just said, hey, these guys are playing for a national championship every year, and they've sent some guys to the NFL. So if I can figure out a way how to get to JMU, I think that would be, the best spot for me. I saw what Brian Shore had done the couple years before with the stats and the offense and going to the national championship. So I said, hey, why can't that be me? One thing led to another, and then 2018, yeah, I enrolled early in January and kind of just went from there.
Yeah, before we dive into the 2018 season with you, but I was looking at your Wikipedia page to get acquainted with your Pitt time. I did not realize that while you were a Pitt Panther in that quarterback room, you had Nathan Peterman, Max Brown, who's now a TikTok star, and then Kenny Pickett. What an interesting quarterback kind of room you had there during your time at Pitt.
So yeah, we weren't all four of us weren't there at the exact same
Yeah.
time. That would have been crazy if that kind of would have worked out that way. My first 2 years I was with Nate. He started those 2 years and then got drafted. Then the third year, Max Brown came in. It was me and him, and then Kenny enrolled that same time as well. So it was me, Max, and Kenny in the room at the same time. But still talk to Nate a lot. He's one of my good buddies. He's been in the NFL a while. The other two guys I don't talk to as much. But yeah, looking back on it, kind of crazy how everyone's past kind of went different, but kind of similar ways.
Yeah, very funny. But 2018 starts NC State. I got to know the origin of the finger guns. I think that's become now a GIF that is constantly used across JMU Twitter. I don't think there's a day I go by scrolling Twitter not seeing the finger guns. What caused the finger guns for the first downs at NC State?
I wish I had an explanation for it. I guess the way I explain it is it's kind of one of those things where that stuff happens. Like I just lose control of my extremities, like my fingers and hands and arms just I've got no control of what goes on. I just hope that something bad doesn't happen. So in that moment, yeah, I think a few plays before was when I stared down the NC State after a run, and then I broke off the long one and kind of threw the finger guns out there. And I was like, all right, cool. I guess I got to kind of just go with this thing now and see how it sticks. And clearly something worked. So
In social media age, it definitely has stuck through the times of Twitter with the GIFs. I think it's the finger guns with you, and I think it's MJ Hampton's pelvic thrusts that have now
Yeah.
lasted the time of
Yep.
JMU Twitter.
Yep.
I mean, you're kind of in an interesting spot. You're in the last year of Houston, first year of Signetti. Kind of, can you walk us through the major differences between Mike Houston and Kurt Signetti?
Um, yeah, I would say the biggest thing was just, Coach Houston was a military background, came from the Citadel, had a certain way that he had kind of liked things run. And when I got there, I could tell that there was a culture, there was a tradition already kind of established. Whether it was him, whether it was Withers, Mickey, whoever came before, there was a good foundation in base. I would say with Houston, it was just more strict, not as much. It was just a little more uptight, I guess, if that's the right word. It just felt like, hey, every game we gotta produce here. This, something's gonna, one way or another, not turn out the way it wanted to. When Signetti got there, it was kind of, hey, we're gonna let you guys have fun. We're gonna let you be you. He had to kind of put a leash on me a little bit because I think I kind of stretched the boundaries with having fun and doing some of that stuff. But he was the biggest thing was Cincinnati came in was, hey, you guys are a heck of a team already. You didn't lose anybody from the year before. I'm not going to try to come in here and tell you, I'm gonna adapt the offense to what you guys have. I'm going to let you guys kind of be you on the field, take care of yourselves off the field, and just have fun. And it worked out really well. There was a good blend between coaches, between players that 2019 season. I think 2018. Part of it was just different for me because that was the first year I got there too, right? You're all of a sudden you're on a team for 3 years and you're thrown into a whole nother locker room with guys you don't know, right? There had been guys that had transferred in from Pitt, and I kind of knew the stigma that surrounded guys transferring in, and so I was very very cautious to, how I was going to be perceived walking in there. Luckily, guys, welcomed me with open arms, and the transfer portal was one of those things that was just kind of normal at JMU. I think there were 4 or 5 guys every year that kind of just found their way to the program one way or another. So guys welcomed me with open arms, and it was awesome both years.
Going from Houston to Signetti, I mean, in 2019, I think you finished as CA, I almost said Sunbelt, CAA Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, had a great season. Was that just being the second year on JMU's campus, kind of fitting into it more, or did you mesh a little bit better with the way Signetti coached the quarterbacks?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. I was a lot more comfortable just being around the guys. Had settled into school, settled into Harrisonburg. Another big part of it was, when Signetti came in, kind of the first thing he said to me was, "Hey, you're a heck of a player, but we got to limit the turnovers, right?" I think I had 20 turnovers, something between picks and fumbles my junior year, and at the quarterback position, that's the name of the game, right? Protect the ball, take care of the ball. So the first meeting I had with him was, "Hey, you need to be careful. You can do a lot of things with your arm, a lot of things with your legs, but when a bad play is bad, don't make it worse." So that was part of it, just kind of understanding, hey, when the play is there, take it. When it's not there, don't try to make a bad play worse. And I think the other part of it was hey, sorry,
No, you're fine. Surprised my dog has not done anything. Oh, that's a
he thinks
cutie.
he runs it. He thinks he runs this house.
I think he does.
Um, But the other thing was Shane Montgomery, the offensive coordinator. I think a lot of the offense was kind of tailored to stuff that I did well. Donnie the year before, 2018, a lot of the offense was just, hey, whatever side looks best to you. It was a lot of mirrored concepts, meaning 2-by-2 formations. You've got the same concept on both sides. Kind of pre-snap, you're identifying the defense and seeing what side looks better. I've kind of always struggled with that kind of, that type of progression in an offense. For me, it's more, hey, here's one in the progression, here's two, here's three, here's four. And I think a lot of it senior year was just letting me let my eyes know where I got to start every single play, right? Have a starting point instead of trying to pick the perfect place to go versus
Yeah.
a certain defense. So a lot of it was just the offense was tailored to stuff that I was good at.
So during your time at JMU, you played at plenty of some interesting FCS stadiums over the course of the country. I got to ask, your favorite stadium to play at during your time at JMU, and if you feel comfortable answering it, your least favorite stadium during your
Yeah.
time at JMU.
So I'll take that two parts. So I'll go Pitt and non-Pitt. So Pitt, I got the pleasure of playing at Clemson and Penn State, and I tell people all the time those two stadiums are
Oh,
unlike anything that I've
oh,
been around. The first time I got into a game at Pitt was Penn State in front of 107,000 in a whiteout. And if you can imagine the Pitt Penn State rivalry, how that kind of went. So that place was really cool. Death Valley at Clemson was very 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 cool, very loud. So now switching JMU. I mean, we played we played NC State and West Virginia were our Power Fives. I would say probably West Virginia was the coolest place. For me, being from Pittsburgh, West Virginia was right down the road. Had a ton of friends, family that made the few hour drive out. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they did a stripe out that game with blue and gold. That was the coolest place at JMU we played. The one place I wish I would have played was North Dakota State. Um, just right speaks for itself. I heard a million times how cool that place was. I don't mind sharing least favorite at all. Worst stadium was by far Norfolk State. We played there. We played their senior year.
Was that the thunderstorm game
We
that
had like
ended
a
up?
2.5 hour weather delay. We played
Yeah,
the first quarter, went back into the locker room. They were going to make us come back out, and then I think we were up 28-0 after the first quarter. I think in Norfolk, I think just said, "Hey, we're gonna call this instead of getting beat 80-0." So, I mean that was the least my least favorite place that we played at.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Kind of shifting gears from your time at JMU, there's a lot of talk around JMU quarterback now with Barnett, who has shown some incredible flashes, of course. But there's this other guy, this transfer from Washington, Dylan Morris, is on the bench. But fans are kind of split right down the middle on terms of who they want to see a quarterback. What have you seen out of Barnett? I know you're at the Charlotte game. What have you seen out of Alonzo so far this season?
Yeah, I was at the Charlotte game. He impressed me, right? I think the thing that people are quick to judge on is right. He's young. This is his first time that he's started. He's what 2 games into his what redshirt sophomore year, right, or
Yeah.
redshirt freshman year. I'm not sure what year he is, but yeah, like things take time, dude. Like I didn't start playing really. I guess you could call it well until my fifth year of college, right? And everything you got to have guys around you, blah 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 blah. But um, I'll say this: like he won the job for a reason, right? They're not going to hand him the job after bringing in a guy from Washington, right? So I think whatever Coach Chesney saw during spring ball, summer camp, and training camp, it had to be good to give this kid the nod over a fifth year guy from a Power Five school. I was impressed. He throws a nice tight spiral. Looks like he's athletic, can move around, make some plays. Took care of the ball. A lot of the stuff just comes with time, right? You can't replicate pocket movement, that stuff without being under fire, being in a game and taking live bullets. So yeah, I mean, I was on Twitter after last week too, after the Gardner Webb game. I mean, I can't tell you how many, dude. I threw 5 picks at Colgate. You think I
You
didn't see that stuff on Twitter after games? I mean, it's normal, right? One of the things that's good about it is JMU is such a passionate fan base, but on the other side, right, you get the double-edged sword when things aren't working out well. But I would say give him the benefit of the doubt. He's working through it. He's 2 games into the season. I trust that the coaches are doing the right thing, and I'm excited about what he's going to be able to do the rest of the year, and excited to kind of follow his journey and follow along.
That makes sense. That answer brought two follow-ups out of me. So the first follow-up, you brought up Colgate. I
Yeah.
gotta know after that 5 interception game, what's going through your mind? Because your coach is leaving 5 interceptions. I mean, what's going through the mind there?
What job am I going to have after college? Probably is the first thing that popped into my mind. I mean, really, even before that, I mean, I had another year of eligibility left. Like, was this the last time that I'm going to get to, start in a football game? Realistically, it was probably the first thing that crossed my mind. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think I got pulled during that game. They put Kohler Gage in, and then I went back in the game and might have thrown another pick. I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, those were probably the first two things that popped into my mind. I'm sure they probably would have been the same for you.
No, in that game, I remember I was having to defend to my friend the performance because I think one of the interceptions was at halftime. So it was
Yeah,
like a
one was a
punt.
Hail Mary, so it was
One
was
was,
4.
I think there was
Yeah.
one, a receiver ran a wrong route. At least it looked like from our side, our fan side. But I remember we were defending you on Twitter. It was a very tough time though to
I
be a
appreciate that,
to
and
be
I'll
a
and I'll
Ben
and I'll say
DiNucci
this.
fan.
So when you're warming up, quarterbacks normally it doesn't take long for guys to know if they're going to be on that day or not on that day. And so when we went out for warmups that day, the first few throws, I was kind of like, oh man, this might be one of those days. Something just doesn't feel right. It was cold up there. It was wet. It was like
The
rainy,
fans were throwing
snowy mix.
snowballs.
It was, yeah. And so the first few times it came off my finger, I was like, oh man, this might be one of those days. And sure as heck, it was one of those days. So
It was something. It was a fun drive down. My friends and I drove up the night before, and we drove down back to JMU from Colgate that night through the night. What an experience to be in
had my
Colgate
career
that
not
night.
turned out the way it has, I I'm not sure I'd be able to look back on that game the same way that I'm able to now, with kind of a joking attitude, because realistically that could have been, the end of my career. But I'm glad that it wasn't.
Yeah. And another follow-up question I had from your Alonzo answer is you were in a room like that. You were the FBS transfer coming in. I think you had Cole and Gage, all of you guys kind of fighting for this QB job. You end up winning it. In the case of Alonzo, the old guy, quote unquote old guy who's been in the program for a few years, has now won it. But when you ended up winning that quarterback battle, how do you then go about it in that room? Because you guys were just competitors for all of that time, and now you kind of have to work together to make sure that the confidence is there.
Yeah, I think in general, just when that happens, it's not easy, right? The quarterback's the only position on the field where there's one guy that's playing. So I think sometimes that's the thing that people don't understand. Like, guys are friendly in the quarterback room, but at the same time, like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I got to make
Yeah.
sure I'm doing what I'm doing to be the guy. So I think, I'm not going to lie to you. During spring, during summer, during training camp, I mean, Gage and Cole both pushed me. I don't think Houston named me the starter until maybe the week of the NC State game that year. So I mean, that just goes to show you how well they played as well, and how long kind of they pushed me until Houston named me the starter. But at the same time, competitions, that's what I wanted, right? You don't want to just come into a program after just being somewhere and not playing and just have somebody hand you the keys, right? Like, I walked on to I wasn't put on scholarship at first. Houston told me, hey, we don't have a scholarship during the spring. If you want to come walk on, if you do what you're supposed to do, and we think what you do, we think you're going to be our guy, we'll put you on scholarship after. But come in, do things the right way, blah, blah, blah. And I did that, was able to be put on scholarship after. But the biggest thing for me was, hey, I just want an opportunity to compete. As long as I was able to compete, I figured that the cream was going to rise to the top, right? I'd put all the work in, done what I needed to do to put myself in the best situation to go out there and play good ball. And that's what happened. So.
Love it. And with Houston to Signetti, we've seen with what Signetti was able to do with yourself, Cole, and then Todd Centeio was in there. Even what and what Jordan McLeod was able to do. What is it that made Signetti, quote unquote, this quarterback whisperer?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, and I kind of said it earlier, was he was big on, hey, take care of the ball, right? If you take care of the ball and we don't turn the ball over, we're going to be in a good, because JMU, right, always has a great defense, always has great skill position. So the quarterback doesn't necessarily need to be a guy that's a gunslinger. Now, granted, that's kind of what I was, but at the same time, he had to kind of reel me back a little bit, right? And kind of, when you have guys around you that can make plays, and you got a defense that, shoot, we might not have let up 20 points my senior year. So when you're a QB and you know that, shoot, all I got to do is score 28 points today, like, it's easy to just kind of let the game come to you, to play with inside yourself and not go chasing the big plays. So I think the biggest thing was Houston just probably told all those guys, like he told, or not Houston, Signetti probably told all those guys, like he told myself, hey, take care of the ball, just get the ball, take completions, don't turn the ball over, get the ball to the playmakers, and let everything else kind of just take care of itself. And sure as hell, right? Cole threw for 1,000,000 yards after I left and 40 touchdowns. I think Todd was the same way. And then McLeod, you saw it last year. Now he's at Texas State. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty impressive to see what Signetti was able to do year after year with QBs.
And my final question: when are we seeing the JMU hats come? I know it's a question you get asked a lot on Twitter, so I gotta ask it here too.
I wish I had one. They're currently in production right now. We're hoping to have them. I'd say probably the end of October at the latest, to roll out. So I'll be posting on social media and all different stuff, trying to spread the word. I think I had probably 10 people just come up to me last week at the game, whether it was the bathroom or just walking around saying, hey, when are we getting the Duke's hats? When are we getting the Duke's hats? So it's been very cool for me to kind of see the support that JMU Nation still has for a former player. And really not only me, but everybody, right? I mean, I was there with Kyle Davis, Harry O'Kelly, Clayton Cheatham, a bunch of guys, and JMU just has an awesome fan base, and they really care about their guys. So it was nice to go see some familiar faces and get back to watch a game, because that was the first time in a few years that I've been able to go see him play.
I feel like you've been a little bit busy the last few years since graduation.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for your time. Good luck with the hats, with whatever may come with the NFL and opportunities that may present itself.
Thank you, dude. Appreciate it. All the best.